Yes, we can start.
Добрый день.
Good morning. We can't hear anyone. I guess all the microphones are off now.
Меня слышно? До химии?
Yes.
Нет, все нормально.
Okay, we can hear. Everything's fine. Okay, I'll start again. We had a slight technical problem. My name is Maria Yasenovska. I represent European Forum of People with Disabilities, and today we have a consultation meeting to organize for organizations from Eastern Europe and Central Asia due to several two big events. We had a global summit, a European summit of people of disabilities, and very soon we're gonna have a global summit of people with disabilities in Berlin. Our task today is to meet with you and discuss the problems and challenges that you are facing and that should be raised on a high level on a global summit. And for starters, we have a slight technical information about some housekeeping rules. And I will ask Alexandra to help me to let me.
Hi, my name is Alexandra. I'm going to briefly explain some of the technical features of today's call. This webinar is being recorded on English and Russian. There is an international sign interpretation, captioning in English and Russian, and language interpretation in English and Russian. A CC button on the bottom of your screen in the meeting control toolbar will enable the closed captions. If you need captions in the external window, the link is in the chat box. The interpretation button on the bottom of your screen, presented as a globe, will allow you to access specific language channel. Please choose your channel that you will follow throughout the meeting. The participants do not have an option for opening the microphones and videos. We request all speakers to kindly keep to times and keep their cameras off if not speaking. We are asking you that you speak slow enough for the interpreters and captioners to follow. Thank you and have a good meeting.
Thank you, Александра. Спасибо большое, Александра. Я надеюсь, что всем было понятно, какие у нас правила.
Thank you, Alexandra. I hope everyone understood our rules. You see the room and a lot of people here. I'm waving to you in this room. Unfortunately, we can't set a camera differently. Today in our office, we have a group of activists from Moldova that work in our partner organization, our member organization, and that is why today we partly. So our meeting is a hybrid meeting today. We have someone here in the office and other people are joining us through online. Let's speak about our today's program. We have two topics we would like to cover. First of all, it is the document, the final document of European
Слышали презентацию этого документа. Документ еще будет дорабатываться.
Of European Summit. This document will be developed more until the end of this year. And now we have a unique possibility to discuss your ideas about this document. And the first part of our meeting will be dedicated to it, and the second part of the meeting will be talking about a global summit.
Как непосредственно мы уже сейчас можем к нему готовиться.
We'll talk about how can we prepare to it now and what activities do we need to do on regional level in our roots organizations. We have several presentations, short ones, about 5 minutes, and let's start with presenting the final document of European Summit. I would like to invite the Vice President of that forum, who's also leading a Lithuanian organization, our friend and partner in the work in the Southeast Asia. Gunter, please, the word is yours. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Maria. I greet everyone who get joined here. Unfortunately, I can't see you as well. I can only see that we have 50 participants, and I think it is amazing because we need to work together to actually achieve common goals. What I wanted to tell you today, as Maria already said, we had a meeting with you very recently in December when we had an amazing opportunity to take part in a regional European summit for people with disabilities. That summit was an amazing chance to meet the German government and European Forum of People with Disabilities. Let us gather there. More than 400 people connected with that topic, dedicated, and more than 1,000 people joined us online. And we talked a lot about inclusive cooperation, about humanitarian actions that should be organized together with organizations, with people of disabilities. I was talking about that during the summit, and what I want to repeat, what were our main priorities? Our main priorities were that participation needs to be inclusive participation that lets us meaning people with disabilities, not just to speak up, to be heard as well. It is very important to be heard and our opinion to be included in the documents and then in the documents themselves. We all understand that we can't do anything without funds, without money. We spoke about inclusive education and special means for people of with disability. We spoke about making more inclusive the political sphere. We also discussed a lot the topic of independent life, not in special houses, not in internets. And that's not a problem just of Eastern Europe. Western Europe faces the same problems. We spoke about gender politics and about conflict zones and humanitarian crises. What was the most important? We included in our document, as Maria already said, the document is not final. We still have 2 more weeks when we can check that document and add everything we believe is lacking. The document exists in Russian as well, so really everyone can read it and add something they believe is important. What are the main issues that we included it already? Those are the issues of partnerships between organizations and governments. That means that governments should be included as partners, not just that, yeah, we're listening to you, but we're gonna do it as we want to. We need the organizations to be ready for such a partnership. Then we spoke a lot in that document about international cooperation, about how we should develop it, that we're lacking funds to develop it properly. A lot of people are still in very bad financial state in different countries, and there are lots of different barriers, and those people are just not included, and we have to help them. We talk about that about how we can respect rights of people with disabilities during crises. And of course, as a crisis, we see the war. That's a war in Palestine, in Israel, in Ukraine, and so on. Those are climate crises, and we need different approaches to people with disabilities. Those are crises of people who have to migrate from their countries, running away from war. And those are huge barriers for such people. And how can we really solve it in an actual working way? That's a document that I'm talking to you about, and that I would really love it for you to read it and check it. What we're gonna do next with that document? Next year, in 2025, in the beginning of April in Berlin, we're gonna have a huge European summit and then global summit. So people with disabilities from the whole world, from all the continents, will participate in it. And during that summit, we're gonna prepare, I don't know, requests or commitments. That's the best word. I can find it in Russian. And it will be presented to all the governments of the countries that people are coming from to that summit. And there, in that document, we want to include all the issues that are important for people with disabilities in the whole world. and that we have an idea how to solve them. That means that in our document, to be very clear about the difficulties we have, of what solutions do we have already, and how we can address with it our governments, our ministries maybe, and so on and so on, in order to ask and to demand for working with needs of people with disabilities. I think that is the most important thing that I had to tell you. As Maria already said, we will speak a lot about the document, and still in the second part of our meeting, we'll speak a lot, speak more about our future. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be here with you.
Thank you so much, Gunta. Unfortunately, regarding seeing, we don't have the technical possibility today to see all the participants, but it's very important that we know you're present. Yes, I'm following the numbers and they're constantly growing. We're 59 already. Take in consideration the fact that we are several people here in this room, we are over 60. Thank you so much. We're moving on, and I would like to give the floor to Georgi Viladze, who represents a Georgian organization, a Center for Independent Life, Coalition for Independent Living. Georgi, I know that together with other colleagues from the region, you have already discussed this document and you have some ideas, some suggestions of what should be added to the document in order to improve it. Would you please be so kind to tell us about them, and then we can discuss it with all the participants of our meeting. Thank you for this meeting that you have organized. It's very important. And thank you for the effort that you have put in order to enable the people from East Europe, the Caucasus region, and Central Asia to gather in Berlin in order to work together. There we have had a very important meeting, a great one. It was an IDF meeting with an international alliance of organization of people with disabilities from Eastern Europe, the Caucasus, and Central Asia. This alliance has existed for some 15 years, and many members of this alliance are present at this webinar. This is to introduce you our organization very briefly. And this organization has, which we have consulted, we will further discuss it with our friends and colleagues on the 20th. I would like to say hello to Gunta and to thank her for her effort together with the EDF in order to propel the principles of inclusion in this big region, this vast, very vast region, which you can say for several years it's been more and more involved in the global action on protecting the rights of people with disabilities, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy because I come from this region, I've grown in this region, and we're very well aware of the problems that we're facing, as well as the people who live in those countries, both in Europe and in the countries of this region. Things are not smooth and problems are not solved as promptly as we would love them to be solved. The most important thing is I would like to raise this issue and to thank Gunta for the focus points that she has already provided. It's first of all the fact that the most important thing is that the organization is not included just formally in solving the issues that are adopted by governments, state authorities. The inclusion needs to be real. The people from organizations of people with disabilities need to be truly involved in solving those issues. That is the most important, because what we have to say is to be heard. And decisions need to be made in order with that, because we know that many countries have ratified the convention, but there are also countries in our region which have just signed but not yet ratified the convention. Nevertheless, I will highlight that there are countries which have ratified the convention and the protocol, but there has not been any specific, any concrete change. And I would love the recommendations that have already been made, that they would be put forward, and it's very important before the global summit, because we need to put our focus points and our highlights in the right way, because these highlights will lead to practical action by the states, the countries that need to take commitments further on, because it's one thing to speak up and it's another thing to do something. So to speak shortly, I would like to say that we don't need to be discussing theories about how nice it is to plant a tree. No, we need to plant that tree practically, in a very practical manner. We all need to switch to practice from theory, and all our organizations need to both advocate and lobby the issues that are there in the convention and that are crucial. We need to make it clear to the state that we need to switch from theory to practical action, that we really need this inclusion. We don't just need the inclusion on paper. The 10 recommendations that are there, when you look at them, they seem kind of very general, but it's difficult to make them more specific. We need to work in each country specifically. Those big alliances of organizations, they need to lobby them locally, helping the local organizations to find the funds that are not available for them presently. They need to be supported. We need to create the first regional cores locally in cities where people with disabilities could really fight and protect their rights, where they would really be able to speak up, to speak to the society, changing the society, where they would have the opportunity to say, we live in this country, we have conflicts. In Georgia, in other countries, we face natural disasters, we face a refugee crisis. Because of those conditions, it puts a specific weight, additional weight on people with disabilities. And it's great that we have this opportunity in the second half of our meeting. I will leave it for discussion later. I would like to just open the discussion, inviting our friends and colleagues to make more specific recommendations and suggestions. What is it that we can recommend to our states so that they take the general commitments, of course, which are there in the convention, but what can we do in order to specify those commitments? That's very important. I believe that we need to help various organizations, we need to help local organizations to work closely with their government in order to develop real practical state action plans that will be fortified by a state adopted act. I don't know what it would be called. Probably it would be a law on the protection of the rights of people with disabilities. But based on that law, there needs to be a very practical action plan with the funds allocated at least for the period of 4 to 5 years. What kind of action plan does there need to be in any country, both in the European Union and the bigger Europe, as it is called? In all countries, we need to support each other, sharing our experiences, and we need to go in that direction in a practical manner. We need to really change the society. We need to really change the situation, implementing the principles of the convention. Thank you. I will not take any more of your time. I would be happy to share more insights during the discussions, and I'm here for your questions if you would like to ask them. But I would also like to call you to focus more on the practical recommendations of the commitments that the member states need to take all over the world. What do they need to do practically in order to solve this issue? We know the theory, starting from the convention and the recommendations, it's beautiful. But the most important thing is how we will, how to say, really implement it, really fighting for those rights. Thank you so much.
And before we open the discussion, I'd like to say that most of us know how important all of that, and not always young organizations know the theory, or our governments don't know that. So it is a huge task of us, of us who worked for a long time, to pass the knowledge, to share the values and theories with less experienced colleagues. So what do you think we should add to regional European summit, and comment on Gunter's and George's presentations? Please just use the function of raising a hand and we'll be able to pass you the word. You can also use chat for question and answers, and I'll sound those questions. Our experts will be able to answer you. Also, the document of European Summit, including Russian, is published on the website of European Summit of People with Disabilities. You can read it, and I'll do my best to link it for you to read it. I also believe that it'll be easy for you. Please, your commenters, your questions, we really want to hear them. Maybe some of my colleagues in this room would like to say something. Yes, please, I'd like to see the document. Can we see it? The document itself, please
Я
help
вижу, у нас
me.
появился вопрос.
I can see that we have a question.
Проблема в том, что я как раз
The
не вижу
problem
поднятых
is
рук, и это
that I
наверняка
can
вопрос
see
к
raised
техническому
hands.
сопровождению.
That
Dear
is
Alexandra, we
probably
have
a
two people
question
for
for
raising
our
hands. Could
technical
you help me
team.
to give them a floor? It's
Окей,
Armen and
Мария, это Гунда, давай я тебе помогу по-русски, я вижу поднятые руки.
I will help you.
Да.
Uh,
Я не знаю, как это технически сделать.
I can see those raised hands. I don't know how to do that technically. Okay, so right now we just need to solve some technical issues. Okay.
Всё вот здесь.
Yeah, I think
Сейчас,
yes.
секундочку.
Just a second, please. We just need to solve those technical
Я
issues.
вижу
Yes, now I can see it.
людей с поднятыми руками.
I
Хорошо.
can see
Первый был
people with the
Armen.
raised hands. First was Armen.
Hi, do you want me to unmute somebody to give them the allowance to talk
Yes,
from the OPDs?
I would like to ask for this. Please, could you unmute Armen?
Yes. Armen, you have to turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Армен, вы можете говорить.
Да, камеры не будет, наверное, ну и ничего. Но вы меня слышите, да?
Да.
Хорошо.
I
Я
can
просто
turn
коротко
on
хотел
my
прокомментировать то, что
camera,
было сказано.
but I
Я не
just
буду
wanted to
повторять
give a
благодарность и
short
все правильные слова, которые
comment,
были
or I
сказаны
will
про
not repeat
европейский
all the
региональный
good and correct
саммит.
words about European
В общем,
summit, all the
смотрите, я хочу
gratitudes. So I
два
want
комментария
to
сделать насчет европейского
make
саммита
two
в Берлине. Это было
comments
прекрасно,
about
очень
European
полезно и
summit in Berlin. It was
очень
amazing. It was
информативное,
very
очень
useful. It
информативное
was all
мероприятие.
very informative
Но имелось
event.
один
But
комментарий
I
негативный.
have one
Участникам,
negative
кроме спикеров,
commenter
не было
that the
дано ни одной
participants,
возможности
besides
произнести ни
the
одного
speakers,
слова.
wasn't
Понимаете, это как
given a
QR-код зайти
chance
на какой-то
for
сайт и
a
что-то там
single
написать, это
word like
крутое. А
QR
вот перед
code
участниками
entering
самого вот живой,
and writing
живой онлайн
something. It's a
форума, да,
different
вот этого
thing, but
саммита,
oh,
pre-саммита,
in that
не было
summit,
возможности
pre-summit,
нам ничего
there
сказать.
was
Я
no
понимаю, это не
chance
как
for us
здесь на
to
один
say
день. Я
anything.
уверен,
I
что
understand
можно
it's
было
just
что-то
one
на
day,
полчаса или 40
it
минут
was
выделить. И
very
напоминаю, что
busy,
если
but
кто-то очень
I
срочно
believe
хочет важное,
that we could
коротко,
give to it
жаргонно
at
хочет
least
сказать
30
или
to
написать,
40 minutes.
выразить
If
на месте,
someone
это
wanted
надо
to
было сделать.
say
Я
something
надеюсь, что
right
на глобальном
there,
саммите это
we
будет
should have had
возможность,
that
потому что это
ability,
тоже часть
and I
инклюзивности.
hope
Понимаете, мы говорим
that
о
we'll have
инклюзии насчет людей с
that
инвалидностью,
chance
но
during a
инклюзия в
global summit, because
мероприятиях это
we're
тоже очень важно,
speaking about
чтобы не просто быть зрителем.
inclusivity for
И
people
второе,
with
насчет
disabilities.
этого
And
документа, да,
it
вот
is
этого
very
проекта,
important to have
который
such an
мы
inclusivity
посмотрели,
during the summit
как
itself.
заявление,
Also, about the
декларация
document that
Европейского
we
саммита.
saw as a
Я согласен
declaration
полностью с
of
Георгием, что
European
у него
summit.
немножко более,
I completely
грубо
agree
скажу,
with Georgie. I
это
might
набор
be a
деклараций.
bit more
Понимаете, там все правильно.
rude.
С этим
It's just
с
a
этим даже
collection of
невозможно спорить.
declarations. It's
Настолько
all
все правильно
correct.
написано. Но не
You
ясно
can't
ни одного
really,
конкретного слова,
argue
как
with
всего
that.
этого добиться.
But no
Все
single
правильные, так
specific
сказать,
word
требования из
how to
конвенции
achieve
взяты.
it.
Инклюзивное там
We're
все. Равенство,
quoting all
равноправные
correct
институции.
matters
Ну,
from the
в
convention.
общем, все понятно. Настолько понятно, что
Institutions,
а зачем менять документ?
education, it's
Вот
all
что
clear.
будем
But
требовать у наших
if it's
правительств.
all
Что
that
мы будем
clear,
требовать у всего
what is
общества,
the
да?
document serving
Простыми
for?
словами, да, такими
What
очень
we gonna
обеспечить,
demand,
продвинуть. В общем,
all that
это мы не добьемся.
promoting or
Конкретика нужна,
you know, forcing, we will not achieve anything. There have to be specific goals. And to be honest, I can't understand how can I put all those suggestions, because we need a specific action and a specific responsibility for not doing that.
Я все записываю. Плюс вы знаете, что у нас ведется запись, поэтому я уверена, что...
Thank you so much, Armen. I'm taking notes. Plus, you know that we are making a recording of this meeting, so your recommendations will be adopted completely or partly. And I would like to invite Vahan Servisan, Alexander.
Vahan. Александра.
Sorry, I didn't understood. Do you need any assistance?
Yes. I couldn't unmute people. I need your help with this.
Yes. Tell me, sorry.
And the next person is Vahan.
Thank you.
Vahan, сейчас вы получите возможность говорить.
Vahan, you will be able to speak in just a few seconds.
Alexandra, I still need your help to unmute. Vahan, я думаю, что вы можете сами сейчас включить
Vahan, I think that now you can turn your mic on yourself.
Yes, Vahan, you have to unmute yourself.
Да, Vahan, пожалуйста, включите микрофон, и вы
Vahan,
можете говорить.
please unmute yourself and you can speak.
Хорошо, Vahan.
Okay, Vahan.
Вижу.
Okay, I can see it.
Пожалуйста, ваш комментарий.
Your comment, please.
Я сейчас не готов ничего
Hello,
сказать.
I'm not really ready to say anything right now.
Хорошо, тогда давайте
Okay.
перейдем к следующему человеку, который
In that
поднимал
case,
руку.
let's
Это
move on to the next person who has raised their hand. That's Shugubek
Кучкачев.
Kuchkachev.
Извините, если
I'm
неправильно
sorry if I'm
произнесла.
misspelling your
Alexandra,
name.
could you put all of these people with raised hands to panelists, and I will give them the floor one by one. Sandra, could you help me with the next person? Шукурбек, вы можете говорить сейчас. Включите
Shukurbek,
микрофон, пожалуйста.
please, you can speak. Please unmute yourself.
Пожалуйста, Шукурбек, включайте микрофон.
Please, Shukurbek, go ahead. Please unmute yourself. You can speak. We're waiting for your comments.
У меня не что-то проблемы, может, пойдем дальше?
Probably there are some technical issues. Oh, here he is.
Да, мы вас слышим.
Yes, we can speak. We can hear you. Can I please speak? So a member of the seminar who has not been to Berlin, I'm not going to speak up now. I will listen. I would like to listen to all of the meeting. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. You have raised your hand in order to make comments on the final documents of the European Disability Forum. I'm studying the document. I have studied it, so I'm a participant now at this conference. Yes, you are. Would you like to make some comments or? No. Please move on to the next participant. Thank you. Dear friends, if you do not want to make any comments regarding the final document, then please unraise your hands on the list. In this way, it will be easier for us to know whom to unmute. For those who really want to say something, as you can see on the technical side, it takes quite a lot of time.
Георгита. Юрий, пожалуйста, вы с нами. Вы можете...
Yuri, please go ahead. You can use the opportunity to make your comments. Please turn your microphone on.
Юрий.
Yuri,
Я вижу. Пожалуйста.
I can... So have I been given the floor? We have 3 Yuri Georgita here. I don't know what it means actually. All 3 have their hands raised. Please, you're welcome to speak. Can I speak now? Yes. I will just... I'm from Tajikistan. We have not been given the link, so we have all used Yuri's link in order to connect to this meeting. I'm sorry for that. I have not actually studied thoroughly the final document, but from the recommendations, I can see that there is no issue of the participation of people with disabilities in political life. So I would really like to recommend that we propose this question, and also it might be a matter of translation. There is a word in several places. Was it Google Translate? There is hypocrisy, saying that in many issues, people with disabilities should not be treated with hypocrisy. So I wonder if this is just poor translation. And I also suggest that a recommendation is made by all matters so that people with disabilities could participate in the political life. Unfortunately, I don't know who is behind the name Yuri. That's why I will be addressing everyone as Yuri. I can see another person turn their mic on with this name. Hello, colleagues. My name is actually Yuri Georgidze. Our colleague Yuri Djinladze has told you it's what actually happened. Some of our colleagues could not find the right link in order to join the meeting, so they have used the link that has been sent to me. That is the reason why you can see several people under the same name. I'm completely joining what has been said by my colleagues, both Georgi and Armen. I would like to add the fact that I would like to please pay your attention to the fact that some of our colleagues from the International Alliance have raised their hands, but probably you haven't seen their hands. Maybe those people have also joined us using my link, so that's why we have this kind of
Хорошо, спасибо большое,
misunderstanding.
Юрий.
Okay, thank you
Я
so
теперь
much,
передаю
Yuri.
слово
Before I pass the
следующему
floor to the
говорю. Если
next
вы хотите
Yuri,
высказаться,
if you would
если да,
like
то
to
включите
speak up.
микрофон, потому что я вас
If
вижу.
yes,
Да.
please
Перед тем,
turn
как
on
вам
your
передать слово,
microphone because I
хочу
can see you.
прочитать,
And before I pass
что
the
нам
floor
написал
to
в
you,
чат
I would like to read
Дилмурат
what
Юсупов.
Dimurat
Он написал:
Yusupov
добрый
has
день,
shared on the
уважаемые
chat with
коллеги.
us.
У нас
He
когда-то
said, hello,
существовал
dear colleagues.
Центральноазиатский форум по
At some time,
инвалидности,
we used
но
to have
кажется,
a
он перестал
Central Asian
существовать. К
Disability
сожалению,
Forum, but it
я
seems to
лично
be
думаю, что
extinct.
организации людей с
Unfortunately, I
инвалидностью
personally
в нашем
think that
регионе редко
the
сотрудничают, и в
organizations
целом
of
регион
people with
Центральной Азии
disabilities in
мало
our
представлен
region
на глобальном
seldom
уровне.
have cooperation,
Как
and
вы
the
смогли
Central
бы
Asian
объединить
region has
организации
poor
людей с
representation
инвалидностью из нашего
internationally.
региона и
How
повысить
could
их
you bring
потенциал
together people
через
with
Европейский
disabilities
региональный
from our
саммит и
region,
глобальный
increasing
саммит в
their
следующем году?
potential using the
И
European
еще даже на
Disability
национальном
Forum or
уровне,
the
поступив с вами,
Global
например, еще 100
Disability
сильно
Summit
должно
next
сделать
year?
организация людей с
Also,
инвалидностью.
in
Иными
Central
словами, мы
Asia,
разрознены на
in
национальном уровне,
Uzbekistan, for
не говоря
instance,
про
I can
региональный
feel
или
the
глобальный.
strong disconnection
Я думаю,
between
что
the
я секунду
organizations of
дам
people with
возможность
disabilities. We
своему
are
коллегам выйти
disconnected
и
even
продолжить
regionally,
диалог,
not to mention
прокомментировать
globally. I will provide an
это
opportunity to
высказывание.
the colleagues, to
И,
Georgi, for
пожалуйста,
instance, to comment on this
Юрий,
remark.
третий.
And Yuri, Yuri
Я
number
Юрий
3,
Пятый.
please go ahead. My name is Yuri
Хорошо.
number 5.
Меня зовут
Okay.
Исаков Айбек. Я
My name is Aybek
представляю
Isakov.
Ассоциацию
I
инвалидов
represent the
Узбекистана.
Association of People
И
with
у меня
Disabilities
к
in
итоговому
Uzbekistan.
документу
And as for the
предложение,
final
чтобы
document, I have a
включить,
suggestion that we
чтобы
include
государства
the
реализовывали
suggestion
активно
that
свои
states
обязательства по
would
статье 32
actively
«Международное сотрудничество». Потому что многие
perform
государственные
their
организации,
commitments
государства
the,
не имеют понятия,
regards to
что
article
они
number
должны сделать по
32,
статье
because many
32 «Международное
states do not know
сотрудничество».
what they need to do
Второе
according to
мое
article
предложение,
32
чтобы
international
включили в
cooperation.
итоговый
My second
документ
suggestion is
о том,
that the
чтобы
final
было
document includes
бюджетирование
the suggestion that
постатейной конвенции. Пока в
funds are
бюджетах
allocated
государственных не
article
будет
by article to the
бюджетирования статей
convention,
конвенции, остальное будет разговоры.
as
Вот
long
третье, что
as
я хотел
budgets are not
сказать, это
allocated to the
включение
commitments from the
Организации
convention, it
инвалидов
will be
Центральной
just talk.
Азии
And
в
third, including
международное
the people
сотрудничество,
with disabilities from
сотрудничество
Central
в
Asia
Европейском форуме,
into the
других
international
организаций, потому
cooperation
что
within the
организации
European
инвалидов
Forum and
Центральной
other
Азии
organizations,
находятся в
because the
стороне.
organizations of people with
Они
disabilities
не
in
подключены
Central
в такие
Asia,
глобальные
they
процессы,
remain on the
кроме
outskirts of the
организации
global
МСОИ.
processes.
В
Apart
других
from the
организациях нас нету, и нас голос не
OI
слышен.
organization, in
А
other
у нас
organizations, our voice is
есть
not
что
being
сказать
heard, and
и
we
что
have
предложить
things to say, we have
Европейскому
suggestions to
форуму,
make to the European Forum,
всемирных
to
форумам
the
и другим
Global
форумам
Forum, and
по
other forums
инвалидности. Вот эти мои
on
предложения.
disability.
Спасибо
These are my
большое, я отметила
suggestions.
ваши
Thank you
предложения.
so much. I
Они
have taken
в
note
целом перекликаются с тем, что
from
написал
your
Дилмурат.
remarks. It's
Действительно,
related to what
Центральная Азия
Demurat has
иногда оказывает пример
mentioned
очень многих важных процессов, и
on the
действительно надо
chat.
что-то делать.
Central Asia really seems to
У
be
меня
on the
нет сейчас
outskirts
готового
of
ответа.
very
Я думаю, что
important
эта
global
задача, в принципе,
processes,
для
and
всех,
I
кто
don't
здесь
have a
сегодня собрался.
ready-made
Хотела еще
answer for you.
прокомментировать
This is a
момент
task for everyone
перевода
who has
итогового
gathered
документа.
here.
Это мы
I would
не
also like
делали.
to make
Мы
some remarks
посмотрим
on
его
the
еще раз.
translation of the
Я
final
многие документы,
documents.
которые были связаны
We'll have
с
another look
саммитом,
at it.
смотрела.
I have looked at
Сейчас сама
many
смотрела,
documents
но
related to the
непосредственно этот
summit,
документ
but
мы с ним еще
this
с
document
русскоязычным текстом с
we will
лингвистической точки
work
зрения не
more on
работали.
the, we
Когда
haven't
уже будет
worked
итоговый
yet on the
вариант, мы
Russian
обязательно тоже на
text
него
from the
посмотрим. Спасибо за
linguistical
ваши
point of view. When the
комментарии,
final
решения и налоги.
draft is ready,
Друзья,
we will have another
я
look at
вижу
it.
еще
Thank you
поднятые
for your
руки.
very attentive
Я предлагаю сейчас сделать
attitude
небольшой,
toward
буквально на
this
5 минут
document.
перерыв,
I
чтобы дать
suggest that we make a
возможность
5 minute break
нашим
now so that
коллегам, которые
your
обеспечивают перевод,
colleagues who
немножко отдохнуть.
are
И мы
performing the
вернемся через
interpretation
5
can
минут,
take
то
a
есть
short break, and
в
we will be back
11:02
in 5
по
minutes at
европейскому
11:02
времени.
or 3 minutes past 11 European time, and we will continue with an address by Marion
Также у
Staff,
нас будет обсуждение. В принципе,
our
тема у нас на
European
самом
colleague.
деле остается
Our
все
topic
той же,
basically
как нам жить в этой
remains the
ситуации,
same.
как
How
использовать
do we
возможности
live in this
ходе глобального
situation?
саммита.
How do we use the
Поэтому тем, кто
opportunities
поднял
provided
руки
by the
и еще не
global
высказался,
summit?
я
So all of
смогу дать
you
слово
who have
на
raised your
break.
hands but who have
Итак,
not
через 5 минут
spoken
встречаемся.
yet,
Можно
you will
просто
be able to do
выключить
it after the break. So
звукокамеры
see you in
и
5 minutes. For now, you can just
вернемся
turn off
и
your
продолжим разговор.
cameras,
Спасибо
and we
всем
will be
большое.
back and we will continue in 5 minutes. Thank you all so much.
Друзья, мы возвращаемся. И
Dear friends, we're
я бы
back,
хотела начать с того,
and
что
I would
дать
like to
слово Давуду
start
Рахимли.
with
Он
giving
поднимал
the
руку еще в
floor to
самом
Dawood
начале,
Rahimli. He
после
raised
этого
his
мы
hand at the
перейдем
very beginning,
к
and after
презентации
that,
Марио.
we will pass to
Alexandra, could you help me?
Marion's presentation.
Thank you. Давуд, пожалуйста.
Dawood, the floor is yours.
Здравствуйте, Мария. Здравствуйте,
Hello,
дорогие
Maria.
друзья.
Hello, dear
Наконец-то
friends.
ответом попытки
Finally,
мне дали слово.
I
Во-первых, я хотел бы
got
отметить
a word.
в следующие разы
I would
использовать
like
другие Zoom-программы,
to
чтобы видно всех,
use
кто
a
участвует
different
в
maybe
этом. И было
programs
бы
to see all the
немножко легче.
participants. It would
Сначала я
be
хочу
a bit more
отметить, что
friendly. First of all, I'd
берлинской
like
встрече,
to
которая
note
6
that
декабря,
the meeting in Berlin,
здесь и Георгий, и Гунта,
and
уважаемые Гунта, сказали
Georgie
о
and
активном участии в
Gunther
этих саммитах.
spoke
Посмотрите, я
about
участвовал в
active
Берлине,
participation that
включен
summer.
в состав
I was invited to
министерства.
Berlin
И
from
меня
the ministry,
выключили в список выступающих
and
в панельном кругу.
I
И
was
потом,
excluded from the
по
list of the
неизвестным причинам,
panelists,
меня
and
исключили из этого списка, и мне
for
сказали,
not
что
known
вам не будет
reasons,
предоставлено
I was
слово.
told
И
that
перед
I will
этим у
not
нас
get
встреча была
to
в
speak.
Министерстве
And before
соцзащиты
that, we
Германии.
had
Никому
a
не дали
meeting
слова.
in
Когда мы
the
говорим об активном
Department of
участии,
Social
и не надо
Protections in
применять
Germany.
двойных
When we
стандартов
speak about
насчет
active
того или
participation,
другой
we
организации.
shouldn't
Это мое
have
мнение,
double
чтобы
standards
в
with different
дальнейшем все
organizations.
организаторы
That is
таких
my
встреч.
opinion.
Насчет того,
And
что у нас по этому документу сказали свое мнение и Георгия, и Гунта. Естественно, этот документ еще сырой. По-моему, там
that
указано по
document
этим
we
пунктам,
spoke
надо
about is kind
добавлять
of raw.
такие пункты, которые
We
не
have
были
to,
декларативными, просто предложениями, и в дальнейшем их,
to
чтобы
avoid just
мы могли
declarative sentences.
осуществлять. У
Those
каждой
has to be
проблемы инвалидов
deliverable
стоит, я
goals.
считаю, что у каждого государства
And
по-разному проблемы, и еще есть у
all the
нас
different
общие проблемы. Этих общих проблем вы
problems, but we
должны
also have
решать
some common problems
в таких
that we
составах
should
с
solve
международными организациями и
all together, cooperating
организациями,
with
межгосударственными организациями. Поэтому, чтобы
international
поддержать этих
organizations to
сотрудничество
support such a cooperation
на высоком, хотя бы на
on a high
среднем уровне,
level, at least on the
стоило бы
middle level, we
уделять
should
внимание
pay attention
равноправное
to
участие
the
и равноправное
equal
отношение к
participation and
государствам
equal
и их
attitude
организациям. Я
to
считаю,
different
это
states and
важно,
their
потому что,
organizations. I
я как
believe this
сказал
is
в
very
начале,
important because,
несколько
as
раз
I said at the
видели
very
дискриминации,
beginning,
видел, что
it was
несколько
either
организаций хотят
discrimination
перенести
or, I mean, I
межгосударственные
saw
политические отношения
several
в таких,
organizations
которые мы
wanting
соединяемся, наш объединяет
to
международные
bring
организации. А по поводу
national
этого
and
документа, ну,
international
естественно, у нас
contexts
еще
that
немножко есть времени,
join our
мы
colleagues.
должны не
As for
только
the
там
document itself, while we
пункты,
have some
которые там
time,
указаны, и по
we
другим
should
пунктам,
not just
наверное, мы будем
have,
давать свое предложение. Спасибо за внимание.
we will have some more suggestions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much, David. I am really sorry, personally sorry for the situation in Berlin. Thank you for your valued suggestions. I signed it all, I wrote it all down, and you can suggest us and international organizations what to change. I'd like to add one more word for our different organizations to know that I know why I was excluded. I spoke to a colleague from Armenia. He wasn't against me presenting. He said we had nothing against you. So I believe that we should take in attention, it wasn't political, it was social. Yes, of course, thank you very much. We have a note in common chat that even if you can rename yourself in Zoom, and for those who want and can do that, I strongly suggest it. And now I'd like to give word to Marion. She is also presenting European Forum of People with Disabilities, and she works in the Department of Social Help. Marion, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. I'm actually, can you hear me well, Maria?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. I see colleagues in the room from Moldova, so I'm just saying a quick hi that I've met in Moldova. And of course, the colleagues here that I know that I've met in Berlin or before, like Davud or Georgie, etc. So it's a real pleasure to be here, because I never really got the chance to meet you. But in any case, so I have been asked to talk more about the Global Disability Summit. Usually it will be the role of IDA, the International Disability Alliance. And while we have the logistic teams of IDA here, the director could not be here today. He's also based in Canada. It was a bit early for him. So I'm going to talk more about the commitments and the advocacy around the Global Disability Summit. I heard you about, the regional outcome document being quite general, and it's something very clear. But I think what's more important now for us in the disability movement is really to focus on making sure that our governments or the private sector or businesses are making commitments to the Global Disability Summit. So I'm going to talk today about the advocacy toolkit that IDA has published this year, and is a toolkit to help organization of persons with disability in their advocacy. You know that if I give you just a little bit of background about the GDS, the Global Disability Summit, it started in London with the UK and the Kenyan governments being the co-host. And at the time, I don't know if some of you were there, but we have 1,200 participants. And then the second GDS was organized in 2022. And at the time, it was the COVID period, so it became online. It was organized by Norway and Ghana. And this time we had 7,000 participants online. So in Berlin, for the GDS, we're hoping, or I say IDA and the co-host, Germany and Jordan, are hoping to have 3,000 participants present in the room. You can already register now if you want to go. And I know some of you also applied to get some funding to be there and be funded. So at the moment, what we had some regional pre-summit, and it's really to kind of bring the voices per region to the Global Disability Summit. So this is what the outcome document is about, is to bring the voices per region at a global level. And of course, the outcome document is a bit general. And I took note, and I'm calling to my note. Armen, I hear you very well when you said that the outcome document is too general. And maybe we should have specific goals and action. But the reality of an outcome document like this is that, okay, it's going to be written, but then who's going to monitor the document? Ideally, what we want is to have the commitments, because there's a platform, and I can show it to you later if I'm allowed to share my screen, or I can send you the link. There's a platform for commitments where governments, OPDs, private sectors, businesses are asked to upload their promises or pledges or commitments there. And then IDA and I believe Germany will monitor those commitments. And I think that's where it's important to be very concrete, very specific goals. Anyway, to go back to the regional summit, we had one in Africa on the 5th of September in Kenya. We had one in the Arab region, the 13th and the 14th of November in Jordan. We had one last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, in Berlin, on the 6th of December. That's where I got to meet some of you. And the Latin America was a few days ago, and I think it was in Rio, in Brazil. So before the GDS, on the 1st of April, there is a civil society forum. Is organized by the Civil Society Reference Group. EDF is a member of that group, and we are now working with the other partners to organize this summit. This forum. The forum is the idea is to bring the disability community voices together to share experiences and also to create partnership. So if you can be there, it's the time to network and see how we can better work together to advocate for the implementation of the CRPD. So, as I was saying, the GDS is not just an event, it's really a cycle of advocacy. We want to ensure that disability inclusion is not just an act of charity. It's not charity. It's a fundamental human right based on the CRPD. And so we want commitments, and for instance, at the EU, at the EDF, we advocate for the EU to make commitment, the EU, the European Union. And the first time in London in 2018, the EU were not interested by the GDS. They didn't really attend. They sent just one staff, and they didn't make commitments. They didn't speak. In 2022, they had participation online. They had some, they sent some videos from speakers, high-level speakers, and they also made 16 commitments. I'll give you an example of a commitment they made in 2022, which I think is a clear commitment. They said that they intend to make available 5 million euro to support the UN Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And that's something very clear. It's 5 million euro. Okay, it's not much, but it's 5 million euro that they gave to the UN PRPD. So that was a clear commitment. They had other commitments that were fine, but some commitments that to me were not very clear. I'll give you an example. The EU will increasingly raise the rights of persons with disability in dialogue with its partner countries to support the implementation of the CRPD and foster its ratification globally. So me, right away, when I see a commitment like this, it's like, well, how are you going to raise the rights of persons with disability in dialogues with other countries? Like, it's not very tangible. Which instrument you're going to use? What dialogue are you talking about? How many dialogues are you going to talk about? You need to quantify that. So what I want to say is that now, with the toolkit that IDA has published, and EDF has also a toolkit that we have published, just a shame, and EDF toolkit is in Russian as well. I can send it to you. We need to advocate our government and any other actors to really make some very concrete commitments. The commitment we want to see really is to increase investment in disability inclusion. So it's all related to finances, because we need really, at the end of the day, we need funding and budget to make sure that our society is inclusive. We want to also enhance the capacity of organization of persons with disabilities, because we want to be involved in all the discussion. We want to have a seat at the table, and we also want to make sure that our voices are heard, and not at the end to tick the box, but from the beginning of any initiative, policy, or programs or projects. We want also, in terms of advocacy, to engage with the private sectors, and we want to have data that is collected and that focus on disability. Without data, we do not appear. So that's as simple as that. We need to have number to back up what we're saying. So I don't know how I'm doing, Maria. How long do I have left?
We have approximately 10-15 minutes because we started later, and I think we could work until 11:35 approximately. And we have Vasil Nazarenko, who raised his hand even before the break, and I prefer to give him a floor after you.
Shall I wrap up in 1 minute or 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Because I can continue forever, because I'm very passionate about this topic, actually. So what we can do, we have to identify key ministries and to reach out for support. So at the national level now, you know, if you can look at the toolkit of IDA or the toolkit of EDF, we've got letters, there's PowerPoint templates, there's hashtag for Twitter. Whatever you think of is actually probably there. It's really to raise awareness about commitments. Go speak to your ministry, ask for a meeting, send a letter, engage with your parliament, etc., to try to get to have you your government to make commitments toward the GDS. And remember, those commitments gonna be monitored. So it's not just words. They kind of being held accountable for what they said. You can also make joint commitments, just so you can partner with other organizations, UN agencies, NGOs, etc. So it's doesn't have to be alone as an organization. And yes, the last one I will say, for the outcome document, please have a look, read it, send you feedback by the 31st of January, by the 31st of December. But if you want something very specific, please tell us exactly what you want. What you want it to be specific, because it's not enough to say, oh, we need to have specific goals, etc. The document, we have a lot of consultation about it. So make sure to tell us what you want to see. So the clearer we are, the clearer we're going to be for our region when it comes to the Global Disability Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marion. Я перейду на русский язык. Да, как раз презентация.
Thank you so much, Marion. I will now switch to the Russian language. I think that Marion's presentation is closely connected to what has been mentioned by many speakers today about the fact that it's our objective to be more specific and to work with our governments, to work locally in order for our governments to take those commitments to implement the CRPD, first of all. I suggest that we continue with our discussion. We have some 10 more minutes. And please, I welcome Vasil Nazarenko. Yes, please turn your microphone on. The floor is yours. Have I turned my mic on? Yes, you have. I've managed to do it quickly. Nice. Hello to everyone, and please, may you be in good health, all the members of our today's Zoom meeting. Maria, thank you for your work as a host with this difficult technical condition. We have lost some time due to the technical issues in order to connect. I will be brief to share my opinion. I have listened to all the colleagues. I really liked the last presentation by Marion's staff. It's been very specific, especially regarding the part about the support by civil society organizations, the support to organizations of people with disabilities at the national level. I would like to say a few words about the European Forum. Unfortunately, many of our organizations from the Central Asian region have not been able to join for various reasons. Actually, I would like to say that I'm thankful to the hosts for sending out so many invitations to the SOI, to organizations from Eastern Europe, the Caucasus, and the Central Asian region. In 15 years, it was the first time when I could see so many invitations being sent. Well, the reasons for the colleagues not being able to join us are various, amongst other things, lack of funding. That's what I started from. The support at the national level is very important so that we can fulfill the Article 39 of the UN International Convention regarding international cooperation. I mentioned it very right. If we were able to put it in the regional statement, that would be very helpful. And then, just as Marion mentioned, we need to really lobby that decision with our governments, our authorities. Another thing I would like to mention as a positive thing in Berlin, the fact that we were able to organize a meeting, but just as Armen mentioned, we did not have the platform to communicate with other delegations. We had communication as members of our regional organization, but we had a meeting with Jan Kostanis, and Guntanko was also participating. So I believe it to be a huge success of our meeting. Hopefully what we mentioned there, I will not repeat it, not to waste any of your time. I hope it will be implemented. First of all, the fact that we are joining the Central European, the Western European community of people with disabilities and their organizations, bringing together, bringing to them Central Asia and the Caucasus region. I hope that results will come. Of course, we're hoping for the global summit in April 2025 to further provide our platform to come together and discuss our experiences. What can I say to wrap up? I would like to say thank you to the European Union and the European Disability Forum and their organization, the Ministry of Social Policies of Germany, for providing us the opportunity to be part of the meeting. Thank you so much, and my best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much, Vasily. I don't really understand the ones who have their hands raised. Would you like to speak up, or is it just some status that you forgot to delete? If you would like to speak up, please let us know using the group chat so that I know whom I need to provide the floor to. And I would like to respond to some questions. You have already heard that we will send you the toolkit provided by the EDF, and I hope that we will also be able to send you the toolkit by IDA. I told you where the outcome document is of the European Regional Summit, and you can send an email to any of us, including myself, in the Russian language. We will make our best efforts to take your suggestions into consideration. I can see that Yuri would like to speak up. Alexandra, would you please help me to enable Yuri's microphone? Dear colleagues, I did not raise my hand. It's someone who has not changed their name. Please check once again. I'm sorry, I can't tell the difference between the three of you, and I cannot comment it in any other way. But one of the juries would like to speak up. The one who would like to speak, please enable your microphone. I would like to speak up. Hello, once again. I'm a member from Tajikistan. Regarding the outcome document, first of all, it needs to be said that all summits, all forums that adopt an outcome document, these documents have they're a kind of declaration. They are non-binding, but they probably do provide some inputs, like Marion staff has said, in order to promote cooperation, in order to promote our rights at the national level. Obviously, such documents can have positive impact, but just sending the documents of the European summit to our government, that would not play any role. However, I believe that if we send this document, and if it would be suggested in some way by the Organization of International Cooperation, it can be suggested as a recommendation for those countries who have not ratified the convention yet. It is needed by such countries as Tajikistan, which have not ratified this document yet. I believe that European documents can be promoted in Central Asia by the OSCE. That is a very important idea, and we are now gradually moving to the final part. I would like to provide the floor to our panelists, Georgi and Marion and Gunter, please. The floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you so much to Asad, who's basically said what I wanted to say. It's very important to understand that the document that we are adopting today is a document that will not only be provided to the European Union, to the European region, it will be a global document. And when we say, let's be more specific, we can never say, we can never tell. Because, for instance, we are speaking about for accessibility for trains, for instance. In one country, we mean that we need a lifting mechanism in order for people to be able to board the train, while in Africa, we need to mean that people should not be sitting on the roof of the train so that people could board it. The countries are so different that we cannot draw a document that is not declarative. This is something we need to keep in mind. And when you address your governments, you are the ones who need to say under this article, this is needed in our country. It's very important that you discuss it with your organizations in your country. And thank you so much to everyone who has participated. It's been so interesting. I hope that we will meet more in the future. Thank you so much, Gunta. Georgi, please. Thank you very much, everyone. I will also try to be short, to just take a couple of minutes. Marion, thank you so much because you have noted what I wanted to mention. You know, for the global summit, responsibility needs to be taken together with non-governmental organizations and governments in our countries. And obviously, commitments need to be taken before February the 1st. If it hasn't happened yet in your countries and you're not involved in this process, please, we will be discussing it once again on the 20th at our gathering, and we will specify what is going on in which country. But the most important, this is the most important highlight Marion has made. You shouldn't act as a single organization. You need to join your forces so that your governments take specific commitments. When we're speaking about specifics, Gunta, I would not completely agree with you. We're not discussing trains and such specific differences that are very specific to each country. But every specific state can take certain commitments, and we can point out at them. For instance, for them to say within the next year, we will design a plan and we will implement regarding the normal life conditions, and we will strengthen these and these efforts. There are always such specific issues that can be included in the recommendations. On the 20th, we'll try to sum up what we have mentioned today. Everyone will be able to share their opinion so that we can put all those things into these documents, because right now it's difficult for you to make amendments and changes to it, starting from terminology. And I believe that we need to provide recommendations more specific. And once again, I suggest to all the participants that you draw the attention of your governments working on the document. They need to send it to the global summit before February the 1st. They might not even be aware of the fact that there is a global summit in place. So please, we're waiting for more specific suggestions and ideas that can be put in written in this document, that can be used as one of the tools to put some pressure.
Yes, thank you. So just one more point for me. At EDF, we are going to send suggestion to the EU of what what the commitment they should make. And we want to be very proactive because we know what we want. So we're going to go directly and tell them what we want. So don't hesitate to go and speak to your government, but don't hesitate to also suggest suggest the commitments you want your government to see. So that's one thing. And of course, we're going to send you the toolkit from IDA, the toolkit in version from EDF, the link to the outcome document if you want to add anything. And then make sure that you have a look at the Global Disability Summit website where you have the registration and the platform for commitments.
Ну что, спасибо большое всем, спасибо большое.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Marion, specifically right now. Thank you to all our panelists for your participation. I would also like to say that to me, it's been very interesting and fulfilling to have this communication. Probably technically it's not the best option that is out there to organize our communication, but nevertheless, we have managed many things, and I've made a list of numerous tasks for myself, for my further work. I really rely on you being active in the future regarding both the outcome document and the preparation for the global summit. And I hope to see you again and again, both online or in person at different platforms, propelling our joint work and the advocacy of the rights of people with disabilities. Thank you so much, Maria and Alexandra and our interpreters and everyone who has made this event really come true. Thank you again so much and goodbye to everyone.